gather in and try to find a seat or something. There's some extra chairs here for that. And then that's going to be followed by the part, the reason this mic is here is we're going to invite people to come up and just share memories, anything that they feel like they remember about their just stories and things. Thanks again for coming.
What? You know, I don't know.
Set your table, Mary. Teach your children how to pray. 20 years been married, saying everything's okay. The world is on your shoulders, your desires long since gone. You can always find the questions, but the problems never solved as you fly. She's got a brand new red Corvette. Put her daddy 7 years in debt. Graduated dead last in her class. Drinking bargain scotch from a diamond glass. Takes your life to win and not to fall. We've been waiting so long, baby, for just one look to wake in the dawn. Bridges washed out and the station's closed. Rhythm of the dead just never slows. She's bending over, dogs are lying down. Winter's taking over this sleepless town. Trying not to admit we're running from the past. We never bargained for that. Baby, I fade light on the turn of a dime. We're like two ships in the night, silhouetted by the bedroom light. Two ships in the night, passing through. Two ships in the night. Crash the party from across the way. Bet you $20, yeah, you won't be late. Tell your East Side friends anything you like. No one really cares when you're out of sight. Taking all the changes like a walk in the park. Leaving that it's so long with only a photograph, a dream and a song. We're like two ships in the night, silhouetted by the bedroom light. Two ships in the night, passing through. We're like two ships in the night, one way on a two-way ride. Two ships in the night, passing through. We're like two ships in the night, silhouetted by the bedroom light. Two ships in the night, passing through. We're like two ships in the night, one way on a two-way ride. Two ships in the night, just passing through.
Hi. Now we're gonna invite anybody that feels up to coming up here and just sharing any thoughts or stories of Larry. And if anybody on Zoom would like to chime in at any point, just like send us a message and say, oh, I want to say something, and we'll have you in and we can hear things from you as well. But I think my Uncle Scott is going to start and say some things.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. What to say? I think Larry was probably one of the coolest people I've ever met, probably ever will meet. Always a very supportive person for artists and people around him. He was just a very kind and very loving person. Like to go really fast. He lived fast. You know, he loved his Triumph. It was a Triumph 750. Yeah, stock. And he would drive that flat out on the road between Boulder, CU, when we went to college at CU, and Golden, where we lived, and all the bugs would be pelting him in the face. He kind of paved the way for me so that, you know, I didn't get in as much trouble as he did. And the various things that the trouble that I managed to get into. But I miss him dearly. We talked regularly, and we would go over Lenny Bruce jokes endlessly. And then one of our favorite ones was the Palladium. It was one of Lenny's greatest pieces about a comic that wants to build his career, wants to get on the fast track and have a bigger career, and he feels like the way to do that is to play the good room. We wanted to play the good room. We wanted to play the Palladium Theater, and this is like an urban comic that, you know, shouldn't have been playing a vaudeville house. It's a complete wrong kind of act for a vaudeville. But he gets up there and starts off with his joke about, you know, funny little thing happened to me on the way to, right here. Funny thing happened on the way to lost wages, and emphasizes it. Lost wages. The only way to get ahead in lost wages is to get off the plane and walk into the propeller, and that's probably true. Anyway, and one line in it, he says that, you know, he's trying to convince his agent to book him in this because he can't keep working the toilets. You know, I can't keep going to Montreal, and like Montreal is a terrible place to be. It's really funny. But anyway, I hope that I didn't have to keep going to Montreal. It's right here. That's kind of all I have to say.
Anybody else? Anyone else say something? Anyone?
I'd like to say something.
Yeah, please. Can we try?
One time when I was visiting, I'm in New Jersey, and Janine and I went to a art fair, probably way over an hour away. And Janine lost the keys to the car. And we were just freaked out. And she says, I got to call Larry. I don't want to call Larry, but I got to call Larry. So for like another 20 minutes, she's finally called him. And Justin and Larry came to pick us up with an extra set of key, or just the only key left for the car. And he was like so mad. And it was like, you know, halfway home, I'm like, I don't know what you're mad at me for. I didn't do anything. We didn't do anything. It was just a mistake. And then he, you know, he lightened up and he started to talk. And we talked about, was it Jack Benny, or was it, oh, I can't remember the name of the actor. And he didn't know that he sang. You know, it was just a really lovely time all the way home then. And all was under, you know, water under the bridge. And that was my story. And that's it.
Oh, no. Yeah. Now that I can talk and keep it together. Hey. Oh God, I remember this mic stand. Seriously, I painted that star. were clever too. Yeah. But I mean, most stories and things that I remember when we were a little kid, I mean, really little, we're still in Chicago. We left Chicago, the whole family left. I think I was 4 and Larry was 3. And he had sore throats all the time. All the time, he was always sick. And so it was determined that he had tonsillitis. And back in those days, this would have been the early 50s, they just drop of the hat, just take your tonsils out. I mean, they just did it. So they decided to take the tonsils out on the family plan, and they were going to take mine too. So the two of us go into Chicago Memorial Hospital, which was the same hospital we were both born in, and we're both sitting in the hospital. I guess it must have been like an adventure because we're sitting there. We're in separate beds and everything, and we're just having a nice time, like we were in a bedroom or something. So they come and they take me out first. And so all Larry knows is they have wheeled me out on this bed, and he's going, "Oh yeah, there's beds with wheels on it. It's great." And an hour later, apparently, and this is the point where I can only impart what I'm told because I was kind of I'm not there. But when they brought me back in, here I was. I went out on wheels, laughing and having a great time, and came back in with tubes hanging out of my mouth, IV in my arm, unconscious on the bed. And by the time they had transferred me from the surgical bed onto the other bed, Larry wanted no part of this. So he got up and ran out of the room, down the hallway, and out the front door of the hospital. And I'm told he was half a block down the street before the nurses. And he's a 3-year-old with scoots, and then he was like out of the hospital when by the time the nurses caught him. And that was one of
That's
those.
a great story.
That's
That's a great story.
another one that I remember that my mom was our mom was a master seamstress. I mean, she could make suit coats with lapels and everything from scratch. I mean, she's an amazing seamstress. And so she had these little they were probably 3/8 of an inch square, little monograms that said M and L on them, because she always dressed us the same, like we were twins, even though we were, a year apart. And so she would sew them in the backs of all of our shirts because the shirts were the same. That way, when you got them out of the washer or the dryer, she knows that the M was Mark and the L was Larry. And so anyway, we're, in our youth, all of our clothes had those little tags in them. And my parents left on some vacation. I think they went to Mexico. So they left me with my grandfather and grandmother. And when they came back, I remember my grandfather just railing on my mom. How can you be a seamstress like this and have your kids fit in clothes like this? Because she saw the M&L and thought it meant medium and large, not large and Larry. So she had me and Larry's stuff. It must have looked like a wetsuit. His looked like a potato sack. And so there's these are all stuff that just there were so many stories because we were together our entire lives.
Mark, can you just tell one story about what you guys did to Scott?
Oh.
Story, come on.
Scott had his own room, and Larry and I always lived in the same room. So, and we were, Scott's 9 years younger than me, 8 years younger than Larry. And he had his own room, and we had a split level house. So he was not only his own room, he was on a different floor than we were on. It wasn't that huge a house, but he was on a different floor. And all Scott wanted to do was, because Larry and I were playing in bands already, all Scott wanted to do was to hang with us. And we wouldn't let him in our room. Larry used to blame me for this. He used to think it was all me, but I'm standing here telling you it was not all me. It was just as much him. And so we used to come up with this stuff that we would make him recite. We would tell him, and it was, I don't even remember having, great white father, Mark and Larry, and this whole long, drawn out thing. And we kept adding stuff onto it until it became like a paragraph, just enormous paragraph. And if he screwed up, we'd make him go back and start at the beginning again. And it would go on like this for like 20 minutes or something like that. And he'd finally finish it. And as soon as he walked in our room, we'd leave. And that's, this is. And here he is now. This is the torture of younger brothers. Anyway, there's almost too many stories to, we moved out here and struggled as musicians, played in bands together for probably the first 10 or 12 years. And even after, we took some different musical paths, and I went more into the production and engineering end of it. Larry stayed working with bands and everything, but we always worked together. I mean, I always recorded almost everything he did. There was a period in there where maybe not, when I was still doing some playing in groups, and for a while took a job in a music store because I wanted to play in this other group. And I think Larry was unfortunate at the time, or the original, iteration of it in the 1980s. But then after all this time, and the last several records that he did, we worked together on that stuff all the way up to last April, 11 months ago, when the last Fortune record was released. And that's something that he and I worked on really hard for months. And, almost to the point of, damn, is this everything ever going to be done? I'm sure there's people in this room that know that feeling. And, but, I'm glad that the time was spent on it, and the attention to detail that Larry had for working on things. And anytime I thought it wasn't good enough, he was right in there going, okay, let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. And we would work on stuff until we thought it was right and it was good. So both of us were happy with it. And, that was part of his talent and creativity. And, I'm going to miss him dearly. Our lives are intertwined in a way that they're never going to come apart.
Was the level ground, the single level ground on that last?
Yeah, that was the single from the last record that was released in last April in 2022. And there's some great material on there, and Larry worked really, really hard on it. I mean, we both did all the way from the demos, all the way up to the finished stuff, and we worked on it together. But I mean, I would say probably a good 80 to 85% of the time spent on the record was just me and Larry in the room. The other guys in the band, the drummer was finished and we didn't see him anymore. And people were, bringing parts in and everything. The bass player, we wouldn't see anymore past the basic stuff. But Larry and I really, brought that record through. Anyway, before I lose it or think of something really goofy to say, Dustin had mentioned the Fire Sign Theater record that we almost had memorized. I mean, we could literally sit on a couch and go 20 minutes into this record back and forth, and because it's a very funny record. I don't know if anybody has ever seen that record or not, but it's got the Cyrillic lighting. In the Russian Cyrillic lighting, it's got Mark and Lennon, but it's John Lennon and Groucho Marx. And it starts there, and it's just that funny inside, and it's hilarious. And so we played that so much that we just we knew it backwards. But just so many memories. I'm sure I'm forgetting 99% of them right now, but there are a lot. Anyway, anybody else want to?
Yeah, anyone else
say something?
they'd like to share a story? Heather? Well, I'll talk for a moment. Yeah, please do. Should we share the mic?
Yes, no, all yours.
Well, my name's Alan Mostow, and I managed Fortune during the time that Larry was the lead singer, and really sustaining and the creative force that contributed remarkably to the successes they had. And I remember images of him in the studio that were recorded in the first album way back when, and there'd be band shots, and he would come in the horns behind heads of other band members, and a real rascal, and everyone loved him dearly. and it was great to see the evolution over time. I always used to liken Tom Cruise in the first Top Gun album that Larry was a part of, and Larry as two individuals who were remarkably sustained over time and who were young seeming. And so the level ground track that I mentioned was perfect for the Top Gun Maverick sequel, but it came out at the same time. It wasn't early enough to even be considered. But I put together a mashup of the action footage of the Top Gun Maverick movie and the last performance video of Fortune that came together incredibly well. And if you ever go to YouTube and search Top Gun Maverick, Level Ground, and Fortune, you'll be able to see the video. And it's a fabulous performance on Larry's part. And I was fortunate enough to be a part of it. And he's now, his spirit is closer than hands or feet. And that's when released from the physical body, you can feel it, as do I.
Thank you.
It's all, it's all. Ooh. It's really hard. I've never known life without Uncle Larry. He's been around my entire life. And he's been consistent too. Consistently cool. You know, my dad was on tour a lot when I was a kid growing up, but I was lucky that Uncle Larry was around. And I always felt like Janine and Larry and then Justin were like, I mean, they're like my parents, my siblings, like the way we grew up. It just felt like Uncle Larry was somewhere in between an uncle and like, you know, some sort of a step parent type of a experience. We have countless memories. I remember they took me along to Disney World for family vacation once. And we all shampooed our hair with the Mickey Mouse shampoo. And we all four of us ended up with some pretty funny hair. And Uncle Larry's hair was bigger than usual on that trip. And so I just remember us laughing a lot about our big puffy hairdos we had. And watching what we called it apes in a sauna.
Yeah.
You know, the apes.
It was just like a moment of Planet of the Apes where they happened to be in song.
Yeah. And
It's like robes and towels.
but Uncle Larry just always had the best sense of humor. There was always a joke, always singing. I was told that when I don't remember this, but apparently when I was very little, I would stay at their house a lot, right here, right on by the Carmen. And there's that story of me coming out around the corner while Larry was singing, and I said, "Stop that singing, Uncle Larry." I don't know why I said that. But for years I've been telling him, like, keep on singing, Uncle Larry. Yeah, I was lucky enough right before COVID, Uncle Larry asked me to make a music video for his band Fortune, and I took a bunch of pictures of him, and it was just, I feel really blessed that I got to have that time to creatively work on a project with him. And I know all of you are here because of just how much he impacted you in your life and changed you. there wasn't, one thing I kept thinking about over and over again right after he passed was that there was no judgment in his heart. I've never met anyone like that before. I remember I was telling Alec like the other day, or maybe it was even today, I can't remember, but I remember being like 13 or 14 and I got this like weird movie, this really weird movie that Harry Farrell made. And it was just like this wacky art film, and Janine and Larry like sat and watched it with me, and I just like remember him just being so truly honestly interested and like open to like everyone's art and life, and just totally taking it in, and like no judgment, just checking stuff out and exploring and interested and caring. And it's just no judgment about what anyone was doing or what anyone was up to, and would welcome you with open arms and would just be there for you in 2 seconds. No matter what. Anyone could show up at this door and he'd embrace you and give you some cheese and a baguette with jalapeno or hot sauce on it. A beer, a cappuccino. So yeah, he's obviously going to be deeply, deeply missed. And I'm just super grateful that we got to experience the one and only Larry Allen Greene.
Share a quick story. How this cut that singing bit reminded me of. I used to hate it. When in the early 90s, I discovered this wonderful television show and so excited for it to start, where these words appeared out of the clouds. And my father would lean down and in perfect pitch ruin it for me, saying, "The Justins," and I would turn around and I'd scream out, "It's the Simpsons."
Say something. What I have to say is the love of my life, the love of my life. He went through a lot of trials and tribulations, but in my time with him, I saw angels on earth and angels in heaven. He and I learned the truth and the real reality of what world and death, life and death is about. And I will see him again. And I hope you all find that truth while you're here on earth.
Yeah, hey, my name is John. My wife and I, Judy, met Janine and Larry. I don't know, how old are you, Justin?
39 years ago.
39 years ago, because they were both pregnant. My daughter and Janine with Justin, they went to the YMCA baby class together.
Pregnant baby.
Pregnant baby. Yeah. And you know, so I met Larry, and he told me he was from Chicago, and he was Jewish and Italian. So he called himself a Jewwop. And I like that. He's the only Jew up that I know that embraced it all. You know, it was really, really a lot of fun. But, you know, as he got older and I listened to him sing and listened to his music, I just, his voice just seemed to, it almost like opened up and got deeper, richer. You know, it was beautiful. It just, I never stopped liking to hear him sing. Now, I'm not a big rock and roller, but I loved it when he played the blues. I loved it when he played worship music. You know, he loved God, he loved Jesus. He's the only person I know that met Jesus reading the Bible, sitting by himself. And I understand from Janine that this chair right here is Larry's God chair. He would come every morning and have coffee and sit, chat with God and read his word. And you know what? I just so appreciate, you know, there's something in the word that says, you know, that we sharpen each other. Iron sharpens iron. And we walked together and talked about God together. And we sharpened each other. And I'm gonna miss that. I'm gonna miss that a lot. There's such peace in this house. There's such peace I feel on even Janine. I even feel that on Janine. I felt a release on Justin today. I'm grateful for them all. I'm just honored that I got to hang out with him. And I miss him.
I have something I'd like to say if I could. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Yeah. Anyway, I came to LA in like 2002 to plant a church and in Hollywood there. And I'm in Seattle now. So, but when I was there, kind of connected with Larry and Janine, and I was just we were a young church. Most of the congregation much younger than me, and just the fact that Larry and Janine kind of joined in with us, I think this kind of testifies to his enduring young spirit that he had. He, you know, used his talents and gifts to serve on the worship band that was just so encouraging to kind of a young church that was starting, and they both added so much to our community. I'm just really grateful. I wish I could be there in person, but I'm glad I could be here through Zoom, and I'm so thankful for Larry and Janine and what they contributed and continue to contribute, you know, to the community that I was a part of there. So thank you.
Nice.
Here's the music.
It's getting harder and harder to get off the phone. I just thought there was one more thing that came to mind. This is a Mark and Larry and Scott story. So this happens probably about 1972 or so. Larry and I were living together in a house in Hollywood on Leland Way, and we were about maybe 4 blocks from the police station. Okay. You never gave me this stand back to fix. I don't know. Okay, so we're living in a house in Hollywood, 4 or 5 blocks from the police station. It's like 1972. My mother Scott was still living in Denver with my mom, and she had just had it up to here with him, could not control him. I think he was 13 at the time, and so she decided what she was going to do was send him out to Los Angeles to spend the summers with his brothers. I can imagine that was a good idea. So we're in this house and we get up at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday, I think it was, to watch a football game, because they always brought football games at 9 in the morning and then 1 in the afternoon. 9 in the morning, so we all get up and we're sitting on the couch and we're like 2 minutes into the game, and of course we're smoking a lot of pot at 9 in the morning. So including Scott, who was 13 at the time. And so all of a sudden you hear this video bang on the chain link fence that's next to the house. And the two of us look around and go, what the hell was that? What's that? What was that? And so we just kind of like let it go. And another half a minute later, like 30 seconds, another bang like that. I'm going, you know what? Somebody's in the backyard. So I got up off the couch and I ran out the back of the house. And as soon as I opened up the back door, there was a policeman in the backyard. And he told me that he was chasing somebody who had robbed a house or done something. He was chasing them, and the guy jumped over our fence on the way to get up to Sunset. So he wanted to get back to his car so he could radio in so somebody could catch the guy on Sunset. So he says, can I go back through there? So he comes running through the house from the rear door, through the front door. Meanwhile, the place reeks. It's 9 in the morning. Larry and Scott know nothing about any of this. So all they know is that I get up to go to the back door and a cop runs through the house on the way out. And it must have been like that, and then the whole thing happened in like 1 minute flat. And we all three sat on the couch looking at each other, because what just happened was like such a shock and everything. But we had, my mom was just had it with Scott, so she sent him out to visit. We had a great time. The 3 brothers, we just tore Hollywood up, and it was just a lot of fun. And I just remember that kind of stuff constantly. Anyway, thanks.
Hello. Hi, I'm Bob, and I've known the Greene family for many, many years. And Larry has always been so kind, so positive, very witty, very clever, very sharp, and just full of so much love and life. And I will always miss him. And that's it. I love this man very dearly, like I love the whole Greene family.
Yeah, I haven't seen you in a long time. Hey, my name's Jimmy Hunter. I'm a rock and roll drummer from Detroit, Michigan. And I had the privilege of being in 2 bands with Larry. One goes back to Renegade. I don't know if you remember that. And then later on, I filled in for Fortune for a time when the drummer was away for a while, and I got to play on one of their hit songs, Dearborn Station. And Larry, in a word, it'd have to be hyphenated. Cool cat. The guy could rock a pair of Capicio shoes. He'd be glide across the floor and look graceful and sing and soar his notes. And he was honored to have me, and I was honored to have him. He made me feel honored, and I hope I made him feel honored. I have good memories. Roger Craig's here from from Fortune too. And it was so nice to see him. The last time I saw Larry was at Bob Birch's Celebration of Life, who was Elton John's bass player and my friend and bandmate since the 7th grade back in Detroit. So we got together for that. My bandmates are falling away. I too, like Larry, I'm born in 1950. I'm 72, And I guess we get to that age where we're learning to say goodbye. But it's important to remember, and I'm not proselytizing here, that we're one with spirit. And Larry's spirit for sure is in this house, and I heard people say that. And it's a pleasure to see, I've never been here before, it's a pleasure to see. It's a pleasure to meet his son and see Larry and his son. I don't have any kids, but it's a pleasure to see his. And I don't know what one more can say. Oh, yeah. In Renegade, we had a backer. I think Larry got him. The guy had an airplane, a little Piper Cub. He owned an Oldsmobile dealership up in Bakersfield. He wanted to have a rock and roll band, and he knew we had a good looking band and we were going to attract a lot of chicks. So he backed us up, and he had an Oldsmobile dealership. He gave everybody in the band a little Omega to drive from his rental loaner department. They ran out of Omega, so I got a Nissan. And he'd come down here in his plane and pick us up, and we'd fly up over the mountains in the Piper Cub to some bars up in Bakersfield where we did a Renegade show. And those are fond memories. They actually let me drive the plane one time. I think we took a couple of trips on that plane. So that's what I wrote in the book about the plane, that we went in a Piper Cub. That's a memory. We all got memories, man. And hold on to your memories. They'll keep them alive in you. And you can move on down the railroad line. Get me, lean, clean, mobile, virile, hostile, agile, least of all senile. Thank you very much.
Larry was also a real oddball. When he was young, really young, he took the nomenclature of Old Louie.
Oh, right.
And he insisted that everybody called him Old Louie when he was great. Yeah, and he would sign all of his drawings and paintings, Old Louie, with a couple of fried eggs in the bottom. Just a circle and a little jagged thing with fried eggs. And also antennas on everybody. Every little character had to have an antenna on. But he's one of the few people that I know that actually had like a favorite painting in the museum. And was excited to take me to the LA County Museum to see his favorite painting. And it wasn't the kind of painting that you would know. It wasn't Van Gogh. It was a Ludwig Meidner portrait of, I can't even remember the guy's name. Was it a bell? No, it's just kind of, I think he might have been a writer or something, the actual center of the portrait. But it was German Expressionism from the Weimar Republic. And it was just the style. I think it was the style that attracted him to this. And that was his favorite painting. And it was very thick, and it was just, it was really wonderful. I don't know that many people that aren't painters that have favorite paintings. So he was always looking, and I think both Justin and I are very lucky to have somebody like that kind of was very much in our world in terms of visual things. And he was very attuned to that, very, very much. Yeah, well, that was, we printed all of that.
I just wanted to say something really quick about Larry. I had the pleasure of living here for 3 years with Larry and Janine when I first moved to LA. I was 19, and yeah, it was just to me like Larry and Janine were like very close, close to being like an uncle and aunt, and I loved living here, and Larry always made me feel like perfectly at home. Like, I don't know if I would have been in LA as long as I've been in LA, if I hadn't lived here for the first like 3 years. I moved here and I didn't know anyone at all. I was 19 and they were my friends, and they still are, honestly. But yeah, I just wanted to do like a quick anecdote about Larry. It just that I just remember this one time I was coming home and I missed this insane moment by like all of like 30 seconds, but the fire ambulance had just left the house and I was like, okay, that's like kind of weird. It's like 10 a.m. What happened? And like, I guess Larry's car had like exploded and was like filled like the whole, there was like flames like everywhere. And he had just like, gotten out of his car and it exploded on him. He wasn't in the car, thank God. And like, I just had moseyed on home at 10 and it's like this story like, that would only happen to Larry, and it was like he had just like the most Larry response to it. He just thought it was like so like funny, and I was like, that is so terrifying. Like Janine was like still like recovering from like this happening, and but Larry was like whatever. I remember he like sent me this like meme of like him next to a burning car like the next day. It was like him like with some glasses or something, and I was just like, yeah, I just always loved living here. It was just always constantly entertained, like, but in like the best way, and always felt right at home. He'd like make me espresso when he was making espresso, and like he'd always like have me make dinner and give me wine. And I was 19. I was like, this is the best house ever. But yeah, I love living here, and I love Larry, and he is a great man and a huge inspiration of just like being yourself and being cool. I always felt so like accepted. I also like came out as gay while living here, and just like that was never even like, no, he never cared. Somebody said he had like no judgment in his heart. It's completely true. Very judgment free, great guy. Love Larry.
We sit on the plenty of pictures. God knows for months. I think
Thank you for everyone who came up and shared stories. We're gonna play some music now. I've made a lot of music. There's some recent music of his that probably nobody's heard. There's a song my mom is requesting me play. That's one that he wasn't able to finish, but my Uncle Ron helped produce and complete. So we're gonna put that on the stereo then. It started it 30 years ago, I guess. I don't know.
No, I just lived there. I'm pretty successful. Lived there like 19 years. We're not like this time. And I've seen that in minutes. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I really. Yeah. Okay, so I put the music, my, consider that. So then he gave me. Yeah.
Hey, how are you?
How are you? I remember you.
Yeah, it's me. How are you? It's lovely to see you.
I went to Australia for 6 weeks.
Oh, really? How was it?
It was wonderful because it's summertime. I went to swim every day and had long walks, bushwalking.
Well, you're in great shape. You're in terrific shape. Yeah, you look great.
Thank you. You too.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Terrific. Hey, if you see Heather, well, she's roaming around there, of course, as you know. I just texted her something. She's going to get a big kick out of it. Her and Janine.
have you
It's
been doing
three of us sitting at a table in an REM
Yeah,
music video.
yeah.
They'll get a kick out. It's considered the one of the number one videos of all times. It's got it in the picture they have in there. Janine and I and Heather sitting at a table. Tell her to take a look at it. Just
Yeah.
build
Hopefully see you sometime with Janine.
Yeah. What are you drinking?
Pink champagne, like I did in the Thanksgiving.
You're having something naughty. I just knew it. You're very naughty. Well, that's
No, it's a beautiful party. You should be here.
Yes, it is. It is a beautiful. It is. I'm so. I was going to come, and there's just so many flus going around, and I've got a job that I cannot miss.
Yeah.
I have to get on a plane and fly away to, and I cannot miss it.
Yeah.
I felt horrible, but I mean, I'm here.
But it was really wonderful to see all this the video.
That was a beautiful ceremony, and I must say that Justin and Jackie spoke better than the priest did. Their speech delivery was far better than what than the priest. Public speaking, it was amazing. I was very impressed.
I agree. I did not know what the priest was saying.
Yeah, they were better. I couldn't either. He was like his mom, right, Kim?
It was like he was the most incompetent. Wasn't talking about just himself. He was just talking about himself, and I went, "Am I the only one, or maybe they're really close friends?"
Well, he was talking about, he did say some things,
about death,
but
he didn't say one word about Larry.
No, he didn't. I mean, his public speaking skills were not as advanced as Jackie and Justin. They were terrific.
It was deplorable, but
let's not say it was deplorable. It's a beautiful ceremony.
It was a beautiful ceremony, absolutely. But I just was like, "What is this man talking about?" I was so confused on his delivery, and
he spoke some nice things. I
didn't say
mostly about death.
That I just didn't feel that it was. I didn't know.
It was you didn't feel it was personal enough. I get that.
It wasn't personal.
Great.
It was.
But it was okay.
It was something that was.
Let's say it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. He was terrific. Because Janine, Janine, don't say that. Janine got upset.
I'm sorry.
But it was beautiful.
Everybody,
it was beautiful.
The kids were beautiful.
Yeah, Justin
Okay.
and Jack.
I leave you now. I'm going to go to have okay.
Yeah, listen, if you see Heather, which you will in there, tell her to look at my text.
When you see the girls, give them a kiss on the cheek for me.
What are you eating? Now what are you eating?
It's the music.
No.
Time for the music.
But hopefully here sometimes come over here when you can. Bye, darling.
Bye, love. Can't wait to see you again. Mwah. We'll rendezvous soon. She's hysterical, that woman, Kim.
But
she's a riot. She's
somehow I know her.
Yeah. Oh my God, is she funny?
Somehow I know her.
They live around. She lives around the corner from them.
Oh, I think Janine walked her dog. I think that's how I know her.
Oh, I think so. She's really funny. I've met her at Christmases and Thanksgivings and stuff over there. She's hilarious. She's a very funny woman.
Yes,
I mean,
I believe that they would walk the dogs together or something.
Ah.
That's how I know. Where's everybody going?
I don't know. They're leaving. They're going out to get some air or something.
I wonder what the temperature is. Where are you?
I'll tell you. I'm in Playa del Rey. I had every intention of going. And then somebody mentioned somebody who had been sick and blah, and I'm like, I've got to get on a plane next week and leave in a few days and leave to go do a job. And I can't risk being sick.
What kind of work do you do?
Oh, I'm an actress. I just can't risk being ill. I can't do the gig. I can't do it if I'm sick. I can't. I can't do it.
I just had something called PRP on my back. They take the blood out of you and they extract the plasma, and then they pack it into your disc. So I had that done. So
they put it in your disc? Wait a minute.
Yeah, it's called PRP. And
I know PRP. I've actually had it years and years and years and years ago. I had a PRP facial.
Right, and I know somebody.
But that was 15, 20 years ago.
Right, and they've been doing it that long. And so I also I go and I get IV vitamin C drip, and this dermatologist and this doctor, she also she was giving me the whole rundown of what they do, and I go, oh really, in the face, and I wouldn't have to get Botox. So because you do it you get it done like 3 times, and then it really sticks.
The PRP in the face or in your spine?
In the face. You have to do it 3 times. She explained it to me.
I don't know. I think I did it 3 times. I don't know what the hell happened to me. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm a senior citizen now. It catches up with you, Kim. No matter what the hell you do, the age is gonna catch up on you, right?
Well, I'm having it down in my elbow next Tuesday.
Oh wait, so what does it do? You're putting it in for your joints? Tell me about this.
Putting it in my elbow because of all the gardening and all the swimming exercise that I do.
You got to tell me how it's.
I was always.
You have to tell me how it's doing, though. I mean, so what did you have it done in your spine?
Had it done in my spine on the 26th of January. It feels great. I just swam for an hour. I swim every day.
Oh shit!
I had it down my back, and then I found a few places because I'm in New Jersey, and so then I started learning that I don't have to spend thousands of dollars at this one place in New York. There's places right here in New Jersey that do it for 5% less.
Oh my God. I did not know that they did this in the joints, and I'm pretty up on all this stuff.
The first time Dr. Lutz learned about it, the guy that did it to my back, he had it done to his horse that severed his the Achilles tendon on the horse. He did it on the horse and it glued it right back together, and the horse was perfectly fine.
Holy shit. So wait, you got this in your spine. How many vertebrae did you do?
5.
Holy shit.
And the last one was completely collapsed.
Because I've got a terrible degenerative disc disease.
And
It's
it
a
just,
disorder. I
boom, I'm up, I'm walking, I'm swimming.
So they take the PRP like they do the facial, would they take the blood out, they stir it up in the
They
fucking
spin
thing.
it, and
They
they separate it, and they put the PRP back. So I'm having my elbow done on next Tuesday morning, and $500 if that's what money's for.
Wow. What do you do? What did you say you do? You're a painter?
I'm a medical massage therapist, and I'm a home organizer, and I.
Oh, no wonder why you got a fucked up elbow and a back with the.
Also, it's from gardening. Mostly, it started when I was gardening.
Wow.
Yeah, I do.
That's impressive. That's impressive, and it's working. And it's non-toxic, which I think is great.
I know.
Because they shoot that stuff up into you. So did you do your face? Let me see.
No.
I did. It must have been 20 years ago. I did my face.
I'm 67, and I'm starting to date again. My boyfriend and I separated about over a year ago, so I'm starting to date again. And I was trying to go back onto Match, and somehow my age says 57, and I go, I must have done a typo, and so you have to call to get that changed, because I don't want it to say, I wanted to say my real age. So I was like, oh gosh, I'm going to go back to the doctor and talk to her about the PRP, but she's not the only one that does it. And
that's phenomenal.
Very expensive.
Is it just the angle I'm at?
That's phenomenal.
I thought her prices were very expensive. So now that I know.
So you live in New Jersey? My boyfriend and I broke up years, like, I don't know, I think it's 7 years or 8. I haven't seen anybody, and there's really nobody to meet here in this screwed up town.
Well, I'm on Bumble, and I'm on Match, and I'm gonna get on another one. I'm gonna, I just sometimes from work and everything, I just have to slow down. I'm going to.
What do you do?
That's
medical.
I'm a medical massage therapist. I'm also a professional home organizer. So I go into people.
Boy, I could use you.
What?
I could use you. What a mess I am.
I travel. I'm traveling to Colombia to open up a 10-bedroom house to make it a Airbnb.
Oh, wow. Fabulous.
So I have to figure out, I got to get a container and fill it up with stuff and send it over there, because they don't have Home Goods and TJ Maxx's there.
Wow.
So I got to bring sheets and things like that.
And you're in New Jersey, you said?
I'm originally from, Janine and Jeanette and I, we were